Mic check. One, two, three, four.
I've got it. Look.
Mic check.
Oh,
Three,
nice.
Yeah.
two.
But I think
We remember the wheelchair. Try to. I'm busy in the morning.
I need to, there you are. And I don't need to look at me, so now I can look at all 5 of us who are here. All right, good evening, everybody who might be out there. Are you saying goodbye, John?
No.
No.
Good. All right, this is the Beach Advisory Committee meeting, and I'm going to call the roll. Joanne?
Here.
Carol? Yes?
Carol's muted, but she's here. I can see her.
Carol is muted. I am here.
Okay, thank you. Paul?
Is here.
And Ed?
Here.
And I am here, Kate Bauer-Burke, and that is all of the committee members who will be here tonight because both Barry and Jen Engel and Jen Wasserman are in transit and aren't able to participate. And John, while we love your presence being here, I can't count you as a official member of the committee right now. So since you've resigned, but we have enough, we have a quorum to go forward, both to have an official meeting, and if we need to do any motions or anything tonight, we will at least have a quorum. So the first order of business will be approval of the minutes of the March 21st, 2022 meeting, which was the last meeting we had because we skipped April. We decided not to have one in April for various reasons. Does anybody, I know that those were distributed around a while back, the draft minutes, and does anybody have any questions, comments, or changes?
Don't recall an issue.
Look good. Thank you.
Would one of you, somebody like to make a motion to approve?
Make a
I will.
motion to approve.
I
Thanks,
second.
Thanks, Paul. Okay, roll call vote. Paul,
Yes.
Joanne,
Yes.
Ed,
Aye.
Carol,
Aye.
and I also vote aye, so unanimous. Okay, and our next item on the agenda is a communications subcommittee update, which basically I'm going to give. And Joanne, you can correct me since you're a member of that subcommittee too, if I get anything wrong. It's really the 2 major things we've been working on is the web page. Both items concern how to more effectively communicate with people who are coming to visit the beach, or allow people to find more information even in advance of their coming to the beach. One has been working with the town to make some form of electronic communication, under the auspices of the town's website, put together a more effective web page specific to the types of information that people coming to the beach would like to find out, making it more user-friendly. Connie Dykstra has done amazing work has really spearheaded that effort and has done amazing work with the town to the effect that so far we have now broken out what would be in the past was combined under Beach Advisory Committee. You had to go to the committee site and look there. We've broken that out. That will now be items that are more making it more basically committee related, agendas, what we've done, anything legal, etc. And on the other side, we've now under the information about Kennebunkport and specifically about beaches, developing more information there that's more user-friendly, including frequently asked questions. You had to go to the committee that will, that people can hopefully find more easily the information that they really need to know about the process of visiting the beach, where to park, how to get there, where to park, dog rules, etc. So on the other side, we've got a really good start on that. The fact that we've gotten it broken out into those 2 separate areas, and we will be continuing to work with the town staff in terms of keeping that will beach-friendly web page updated as the need to go forward, and perhaps even adding some fun and interesting facts or articles on it. We're still in the process of being developed, but there's I think a more user-friendly situation right now. We've got a really good start on that. The fact that we've gotten it broken out into those 2 separate areas, and we'll continue.
Has the changes been made? I haven't thought, I haven't looked
Go
lately.
to the town's website and click under whatever the Discover Kennebunkport, beach-friendly web, and then the beaches page. You'll find that the changes that have already been made on there. Perhaps even adding some fun and interesting facts or articles.
And is there a link on
Still in the process of being being
the
developed.
committee page to
There's,
that?
I think a
That's
more
a good page?
user-friendly
I
situation
did
right now,
not check the committee page
thanks in
today. I
large
don't
part
know
to
the answer
county's
on
work.
that. But I'm
And the
thinking in terms of, it's
will
something
continue
we
to
probably
changes
should
been made?
look at
I
doing,
haven't
but I think
thought,
in
you know, I
general,
didn't
the
look
type
at
of,
it.
the people who are
and click
looking
under,
to find this
whatever the phrase,
information
discover
are
Kennebunkport.
in many cases not
And
even
then the beaches
available,
page, you'll
aware
find
that there
the
is something
changes that
called the
have
Beach
already been made
Advisory
on there.
Committee, or would think to
Thank
go
you.
there first.
Okay.
On,
And is
in
there a link
looking at,
on
to try and find the information,
the committee
you know,
page to that?
kind of
Other
information they
page?
need to
I
know
did
about
not
the
check the
beach.
committee page today. I
But
don't
that's
know
a
the
point to
answer on
look
that.
at going forward, whether we
But
should
I'm
link the
thinking in
two.
terms of, it's
Um,
something we probably should look at
and
doing,
then,
but I think in
the
general,
other,
the type of, the people who are
big sort of
looking
program
to find
or
this
issue
information
for
are,
the
in many cases, not
communication
even
subcommittee
available,
this year has
aware
been
that there is something called
the
the Beach
issue of the
Advisory Committee, or would think
multiplication
to
of
go there
signage
first,
that we have,
in
just
looking
huge
at
numbers of
to try and
signs
find
we
the
have at the beach,
information,
and trying
kind of
to
information they need to know
see
about
if we
the
can
beach.
condense that down
But
and
that's a
make it,
point to look at
again,
going
more
forward,
user
whether we
friendly.
should link the two.
You know, a lot of work has gone into the signs that are there in the
And then,
past, but
the
we're
other
thinking at this point, in order
big
to
sort of
eliminate what
program
is
or
starting to
issue
border
for
on
the
sign pollution,
Communications
and
Subcommittee
see if
this
we
year
can
has
come up with a
been,
more effective,
the
maybe
issue
one
of
sign
the
that can cover
multiplication of signage
pretty
that we
much
have,
everything that people need to
just
know
huge
going
numbers of
forward.
signs we have at the beach.
Fred Stafford has
and
been doing
trying
great work on
to,
that. We've
see if we
had
can
a little bit
condense
of
that
a
down and make
hiatus,
it, again, more
partially because we
user-friendly.
need to get together with a few other people,
You
and
know,
we
a lot
haven't
of
been
work
able
has
to make
gone
our
into the signs
schedules
that are there in the
mesh,
past, but
or we've been
we're
busy
thinking
with
at this
a lot of
point,
other
in order
things since the
to
last meeting, but
eliminate
that
what is
effort will
starting to
continue.
border on sign pollution,
I'm
and
not
see
sure
if
at
we
all
can
whether
come
we'll
up with a
have
more
much
effective,
ready
maybe one
new
sign that
signage for
can
the
cover
beach for this summer, but we'll certainly be
pretty much everything
continuing to
that
work
people
on
need
it
to
and
know
looking for
going
input.
forward. Fred
And
Stafford
that
has
is
been
about
doing
it on the
great work on
communications
that.
subcommittee, unless
We've
Joanne, do you
had a
have
little
anything
bit of
to
a
add? Oh,
hiatus,
yeah,
partially because we
constant
need to get
contact.
together with a
Well, the
few other
constant
people, and we
contact, we
haven't been
did
able to
talk
make our
about that, and I
schedules
think the general
mesh,
consensus
or we've
was
been
we need to
busy
keep
with
it
a lot of other
until
things
it's
since the
very,
last
very
meeting,
clear
but
that
that
the
effort will
website
continue.
through the town is more
Um,
workable.
I'm not
The
sure at
other
all
thing
whether we'll
is
have much
not to let it
ready
go for
new
a couple
signage
of
for the
months,
beach
maybe
for
to
this
send
summer,
out a
but we'll
notice
certainly
or
be
two that
continuing
it
to
was
work on it
going
and
away,
looking
that they
for
wouldn't
input.
get individual notices.
And that is about it on the
That,
communications
I
subcommittee,
don't
unless
know,
Joanne, do you have
going
anything
forward,
to
if you
add?
want to
Oh,
keep that account and
yeah,
use it
constant
for different
contact.
things,
Well,
I
the
don't know,
constant
because
contact,
this
we did
is,
talk about that,
Kate,
and I
you
think
and
the
I, this
general
is our last
consensus
meeting.
was we need
That's
to
right.
keep it
Until it's very, very
But
clear
we
that
can both still
the
stay on the
website through
communications
the town is more
subcommittee.
workable.
Oh, certainly. No,
The
no
other
problem
thing
with that.
is
We could.
not to
I'm
let it
gonna
go for a
hold you to
couple of
that.
months, maybe to
Right,
send out a
right.
notice
So,
or
I mean,
two that
that's
it
a
was
decision
going
going
away, that they
forward
wouldn't
that,
get
that
individual
I don't know. I
notices.
know Paul was,
Anxious
I don't know,
to change it up a
going
little
forward,
bit,
if you
make
wanna
it
keep
more,
that
I don't
account
know,
and use
different
it for
or
different things. I don't know, because this
unique.
is,
I don't know.
Kate,
You and I, this is our
um,
last meeting.
the fact that I
That's
got
right.
it out as it was,
So,
to
But
be
we can
sure
both
that
still
my
stay on the
stuff.
So
communications
I don't know.
subcommittee.
Oh, certainly.
I don't think it
No
can go
problem
away
with that.
immediately
I'm
until
gonna
we're
hold you to
sure
that.
that the, again, the
Right,
town
right.
website
So,
is
I
user
mean, that's a
friendly.
decision going
And that
forward
at
that,
least one or
I
two
don't know.
notices
I
have
know
gone
Paul
out to the
was,
569
anxious
people
to
saying
change it up
this
a
is
little bit,
now where
make
you
it
go for your
more,
information.
I don't know, different
Okay.
Those are my
or
thoughts.
That's great. And it's nice to
Unique,
know that
I don't know.
I heard a commitment that you will stay on the subcommittee.
that I
yeah.
got it
Thank
out
you.
as it was, to be honest.
That's great. And I know that,
I don't know.
just a brief,
I don't
update,
think
there's
it can
really
go
not
away
much to report other
immediately
than that the
until
Friends
we're
of Goose
sure
Rock's
that the,
Beach
again, the town
Facebook page
website is
continues on
user-friendly
beautifully
and that
monitored
at
and,
least one or two
administered by
notices
Audrey
have
Lakin,
gone out
who,
to the
I mean, her photography is
569
amazing,
people
and her,
saying this is now where you go
zeal
for
with
your
getting
information.
things out there that we need to
Okay.
get
Those are
out
my
there.
thoughts.
So that's another
That's great.
great
And it's nice to
way
know
of
that
communicating.
I heard a commitment that you
we,
will stay on
we
the
reach people on
subcommittee.
Facebook, we reach
Thank you.
people hopefully through web pages. We're getting way more
That's great.
electronic
And I know
these
that,
days.
just a brief,
Keeping up with the
update, there's
times.
really
So,
not much to report other
so that's
than that
about
the
all I
Friends of
have
Goose
for the
Rock's Beach
communications
Facebook
subcommittee.
page
And
continues on,
unless somebody has any
beautifully,
questions,
monitored and administered by Audrey Lakin, who,
and
I mean, her
hearing
photography is
no
amazing.
hands
and
raised
her,
out there, Dave.
zeal with getting
Mike,
things
who's
out there
over-
that we need to get out there. there. So that's another great way of communicating that, we
thank
reach
you.
people on Facebook, we reach people hopefully through web pages. We're getting way more electronic these days, keeping up with the times. So that's about all I have for the communications subcommittee. And
Yes, I
unless
just
somebody
discovered
has
that
any
this year.
questions.
Nope.
And seeing no hands raised out there, Dave or Mike, who's overs. Yes, that's what
Okay.
that's great. And as I said, that's something, this
Thank you.
sort of computer phobe than I am, but discovered that that's what the funny the little squiggles as I used to call them are, and that they're just a wonderful tool that we certainly are going to be looking at incorporating into signage going forward, since these days the one thing that pretty much everybody brings to the beach with them is their cell phone. Yes, that's what. Yeah, that's great. And as I said, that's going to be amazing. This sort of computer phobe. Good idea. Thank you. Discovered that that's what the funny Paul, do you want as I used to call them, take over on natural resources
Tool that we sure. We have a couple different parts to this. Carol, you want to go first with plovers?
Signage going forward, since
as of May 13th, in the state of Maine, there are 137 pairs of piping plovers and 3 unpaired.
Yeah.
There are 80 active nests out of 82.
So, good idea.
The beaches are really busy.
Paul, do you want to?
The common terns are starting to arrive. As
sure,
for Goose, I'm making this as short as possible. For Goose Rocks Beach, we have 11 pairs. We have 2 unpaired. We have 5 active nests out of 6. We did have 1 nest pairs of piping plovers that was predated up by Dinghy Point. There are 80 active nests, which is a good start for us. And the numbers change and the positions change all the time. Just for an FYI, last year we had 125 pairs of nested plovers and fledged 213 chicks. So we are headed for another record year. Well, you never know. We also have Kaylee Potter, who is a UNE student who will be our shorebird volunteer coordinator this year. She's an intern hired by our town, and she will start in June. And just be looking for monitors for we had 120 be educated and of nested walk the beach and try to educate our visitors and residents. Headed for another record year. The only other thing I have is we also to tell people that dogs are to be on leash at all times. Student who will be now. Period. Shorebird volunteer coordinator and to please keep your cats inside. Cats are feral animals, and they're very, very destructive to plovers. We've had them kill a pair of plovers at Goose Rocks before. So please, if you own a cat or neighbors have cats, I know it's an inconvenience, but if you could the only other thing I have is that would be greatly appreciated. And dogs are to be on leash at all times.
Thank you, Carol. I did have a neighbor stop by today to say that they saw a black lab with a woman running madly all around by Carol's house. They probably entered around Dyke Road, which means they either lived around there or they parked. And they were really, the dog was all through the protected areas. The birds were not happy at all. Thank you, Carol. I would just say for those who are watching, if you're walking the beach and you see something, say something. Running madly all around by take Carol's a picture, house. Send it to Carol. Around Dyke Road. Send it to the police. Lived around there or they parked. But really, maybe this woman knew, maybe she didn't know. Who knows where she was from? Protected areas. The birds are not happy at all.
Have less than a 3rd grade education.
So I would just say for those who are watching, if you're walking the beach and you see next something to report on our this past Saturday's activities, we had, I would say, maybe 18 to 20 people. Send it to Carol, who helped to beach cleanup and staking and putting the twine out. Maybe this woman knew, maybe she didn't know. We probably had about. The beach was very clean. There were some trash, lobster, cages, but next to report it was, on really pretty good shape. Saturday's activities, we had, so I would say maybe 18, probably 20 people. Most of the people spent a lot of time doing the staking, which is pretty labor intensive. We probably had 4 groups working on that from Dinghy Point to the east end. Very clean. We did trash. John Crowder and I spent the night before or the afternoon before it was putting out really markers and stakes where they would go. our general principle is we look for the edge of the grass. Most of the people spent a lot of time doing the grass. We try to, which look and establish that point. We probably had 4 groups, and then connect to another point, dinghy point. We did get east end. One of the goals in doing drone mapping of the beach is to the night before track where that is from year to year. So when we go out the next year, we can say with some certainty where they would go. This is where the posts were last year. This is where the grass was. If we've lost 18 feet of grass or whatever it is from year to year, and it varies. And then greatly. Connect to another point. We did have a email that Carol just sent me. Someone was questioning the goals in doing drone mapping the staking line along track where that is from year to year. So when we in that area next year, we can say where the wheelchair holder was. This is where the post were last year. This is where the grass was. We've lost 18 feet. Again, or whatever it is from year. We looked for the varies. I haven't gone back, and I will do that greatly within the next day or two. Go look at the whole thing. There were so many people working that I did not quality control every single post and that was put in. I did get a line along. I had not looked at Jeffrey's Way area. Well, where the wheelchair. There were stakes that were put all the way up there, which I took out today, and because that has to remain wide enough for emergency vehicles. And we looked. I haven't gone back and clearly communicated that with the team that was working at that point. At the whole thing. There were so many that area has been re-widened, but the goal generally is to narrow the path, particularly out on the beach, so they're not 30 feet wide. And I did get welcoming the ocean in that they're as narrow as possible, so that people can carry their gear down. There were stakes that were put all the way up there, which I took out than necessary because that has to remain wide enough for a gentleman, and it was made me think. Someone did ask me as we were putting them out on dinghy point that with the team that was working at that point. The concern over has been where the grass edge was and where the dinghies can be stored, so they're not 30 feet wide. His concern was the grass that they're as narrow as possible. He puts his boat so that people can carry their gear down. Far enough, and he was concerned about no wider than necessary. Taking his boat away. There were no boats out there now. A gentleman, and there were no dinghies out yet. Someone did ask me, but it made me think that maybe we ought to have some metal posts. The concern over, where for tie-ups was in the dinghy point area can be stored. A number of stakes that people could, and his take a rope and swing it over the grass at this point where he puts his boat. The metal post. Far enough, like a galvanized steel post, taking his boat away.
Would you be afraid people would trip over that, though?
I would worry. At night, those can be really deadly.
I got something better for you.
Metal posts.
I've got several,
for
50-pound mushroom anchors that are left over from a study I did with UNE several years ago. That take a rope would be more than sufficient to just lay down on their side and the sand, or stand them straight up. Like a galvanized steel post. You could probably, what I would do with them, would you be afraid string 2 of them along?
I would worry. Tie a rope between them. Those can be really deadly.
I know how to tie knots. I know a lot of people don't. But, and then tie into that. But as I said, that are left over from
that sounds like a good idea.
Several years ago. And if you want it, would be
is this in addition to the kayak
on their
bars that are being put out? They want
right the kayak bars aren't at dinghy point.
You could probably. So
they're really.
Oh, I see. All right, location is what we're talking about.
Yeah, we're talking location.
Okay, I understand.
And then you.
I mean,
can bring a couple with me tomorrow. A lot of people don't.
No, actually, what if they put a chain between them? People can tie into a chain very easily. Plus, it would also keep the boat seperate.
That's a good idea because the chain would lay on the right on the sand and nobody would trip over it.
Right.
And I have some shackles. I don't
have
any
kayak bars aren't at dinghy point.
But I do have some shackles.
Oh, I see. All right. Location is what we're talking about.
Yeah, we're talking location.
Okay. I understand.
Take an overall comment. I think from reading the email that
what if we put a chain between them? People can tie into a chain.
And from
plus
comments,
also keep the boat
I've dealt with 2 in prior years when I've been out there actually staking and getting comments from people as they're watching us do it.
And I have some shackles.
We have
I don't have any
problem we're going to have going forward.
But I do have some shackles.
We need the dune grass. It's extremely important to try and encourage the regrowth to keep it healthy. And
take an overall
it's
comment.
the only protection we have for many of the properties that are along there and for the beach in general. We have that versus the fact that we now have comments, I've dealt with change going on. We have tides that are coming up higher, which at that point, of course, means we have a much narrower beach. And then we have things like now providing kayak racks because people come with much larger toys. We never had kayaks to deal with in the beach, years past. So we've got a convergence of along there and for the beach competing interests here. We have that. And I guess we try to do our best for all of the various interests there. So I ask for people's patience out there, but I do think that overall, and then we have things like, at least my own personal view, is something as protecting the dune grass has to take a pretty high priority, or we're going to have problems here on the beach. So we've got a convergence of
I think we always had the kayaks. They were just all up in the grass.
Yeah, and I guess the
way dunes rebuild
for all
is not the way most people probably think they rebuild. They rebuild
I ask for
by
people's
grass
patience out
catching
there,
sand.
I do think that overall
The sand flies in,
at least my
hits
own
the grass,
personal view, is
drops,
something as
makes a
protecting
dune.
the dune grass
People
has
think
to
the waves
take,
do it,
a
but
pretty
during the
high
rebuilding
priority,
season,
or
which is
we're gonna
now,
have, problems here on the beach. Go for it, Paul.
it's the wind and the sand.
Yeah,
that,
I mean,
I think sometimes you're sitting there and you're getting sand in your face. Well, that sand is going right into the dunes, thankfully. But it is a tension, and in time it's going to get worse. Most people probably think if we're gaining an inch every 5 years, which I read about yesterday, the sand which is like double that it did last century. People think the waves do it. It's just something we're going to have to confront and deal with. Now.
Yep.
It's the wind and the sand. We do have. Sometimes you're sitting there and you're getting sand in your face. Well, we didn't spend very much. We approved $400. I'm thinking but it is a tension. In time it's going to get worse. Ed, we approved $400. We only spent every 5 years, which 72, which is like so far that it did last century.
We had a bundle. Hamilton Marine catalog, and I'll tell you how much
something we're going to have to confront and deal with. Yep. The only other, I was going to buy some slats, little wooden, those thin slats to do in two areas. Very much to also catch sand, one in front of Jeffrey's Way where there's a big cut. And I've spoken to the homeowner there. We only spent to try it there, and then there's one other spot that so far I thought we'd try it and see the impacts, but that should not be very expensive. You just need to buy some thin slats. Great.
And Paul, I just as a note on,
the only
on
other
that,
I was going to buy
spent
some slats,
$42 or $47 buying some more wooden stakes to put those signs that we put at the entrance, very specifically saying, here's the dog rule for this particular
the homeowner there
time of the season. So there was a little bit more eaten out of that overall budget for,
I thought we'd try it
the summer.
and see the impacts, but that should not be
I wanted to raise the issue about the,
you sent around,
you looked into the issue about the little signs that we've used that rather than, I spent, and I think it was 42. I don't know exactly. I talked very briefly with Carol about this, but I don't know how many we still have that are viable, and how many more you think. I mean, I looked at the prices you got from the time of the season, the vendor who created them originally, and where they are now, because it's numbers of years later, and obviously prices go up. I wanted to raise the issue about how many additional signs we think we might want to get. Little signs that we've used rather than
I would have to go do the walk and see. In the first couple of years, we also gave them to homeowners before we were doing our own staking.
How many more?
We have about 6 that I took down.
The vendor
so we have like 6 unused, but I was going to walk and see where we need them.
Yeah, I've got maybe 5 or 6 at the trust as well. They came back with me with the kayaks racks last year.
Okay, so.
So maybe we don't need to buy any right now.
That's 12 and up. I don't know. Not for both ends of the beach, I wouldn't think.
Well, the smallest number, as I recall, on that pricing information you sent me is like 25.
So we have like 6 unused
price point.
I was going to walk
and that was like,
I've got maybe 5 or 6 at the trust.
I did the math. We needed to buy 25, and if that's all we needed to buy, that was like less than $300.
So maybe we don't need to buy any right now.
signs
it's
and they
12
do,
and up. I don't know.
job on
Not for
there,
both
it
ends
seems
of
to
the
me
beach, I
we would
wouldn't think. But
very likely be able to fit them under the budget that was approved, has already been approved by us and then approved by the selectmen. So maybe we can actually get the signs and get them up or have some in reserve for future years. If we need more, if after you have a chance to lock the beach, to buy 25, and if that's you think we need more, that was like worst case scenario, you or if we don't do it tonight, but going forward at the new committee, the job on there, next month or beyond, can just apply.
Well, we've already, if we spent 300 and we've already spent 100 plus, we have no money for a chain and no money for the wood I need to get for the slats. So
I would go ahead with that stuff and figure out how much we need. And then, we can always, I was talking with Lori today and gave her a slight heads up that we might need to come back for a little supplemental to buy, once we decide if we need these signs and how many we would need, because I think they're effective.
We've already, if we spent 300
piece
and
of a
we've already spent
telltale or
100
something
plus,
to the,
we have no money for a chain and no money for the wood I need to get.
So
for
that's
the
something that
slats.
can be
So
added on as a,
I would go ahead
with
with
that
stuff and then figure out.
Right. My suggestion is let me spend what we
I
have
was
between the
talking with Lori
chain
today
and
gave
the
her a slight
wood,
heads up
and
that
then
we
at the
might
next
need to
meeting we can
come back for a little
make a motion when
supplemental
we
to
know
buy,
exactly if we have
if
any
we
money
decide
left
if we need these
for the
signs,
$300
how many
bucks.
we would need, because I think they're
Ed, what'd you
So
find out?
Paul, the
rather than just tying a
half-inch
piece of a
chain,
telltale
40
or
feet
something to
is
the,
$300.
to the
And if I go
Ooh.
with you and we use my phone
Twine.
number, we can get it cheaper because
So
I get a
that's something
pretty
that could
good
be
discount at
added on as a,
Hamilton as a
it's not
commercial
gonna be
fisherman.
huge
Yep.
amount.
And
My
I'm tax
suggestion is
exempt.
Let me spend what we
40
have
feet is how
between
much?
the chain and the wood.
$300
the next
per
meeting
half
we
inch.
can,
If we can,
make a motion
if
when
we can
know
use
exactly
3/8,
if there's any
and
money
we
left
probably can, it's only
for the $300 bucks.
$215. I mean, the
Okay.
chain
Ed,
size
we'll
is
find out.
totally irrelevant. I just want to be able to shackle them into these mushroom anchors.
And
I have.
if I go with you and we
take them
use my
apart,
phone
'cause we
number,
could
we can
tie
get
them
it
in.
cheaper,
Because I get if we do that, then somebody could cut them and run off with the chain. But if we shackle them and then really crank them down, it's
40 feet
unlikely
is how
somebody's
much?
going to take them apart till the end of the season.
per half.
And you wouldn't
inch.
even have
If
to.
we
You
can-
could leave them right there all
If
winter.
we
They're
can
not
use
going
3/8, and we probably can, it's only
Oh, please don't say that.
215.
Oh,
I mean, the
meaning
chain
you're gonna leave
size
the
is
equipment
really
there. I thought you
irrelevant.
meant-
I just wanna be able to
No,
shackle
the
them
Either the
into
kayaks or
these,
anything there,
mushroom
yeah.
Oh,
anchors
no.
I have,
You
so
wouldn't want to
nobody
leave
can
those
take
there.
them
But
apart.
these,
We could tie
these
'em in.
big mushroom anchors
do
aren't
that,
going anywhere.
somebody could
But
cut them.
now,
It
I
cost
do,
me anything. Shackle them.
I do think about the
and then
tripping
really
hazard though.
crank
Again,
them down.
what do you think on
It's
that? I
unlikely
don't know
to
that
take them
that
apart
half a
till the end of the season.
If we use chain,
it's
dune
going to
edge,
settle
you
right
can
right
leave
there
them
all
into the
winter. They're
ground.
not going anywhere.
You think it'll bury in the
Oh, please
mushrooms?
don't say that. Oh, meaning
We
you're
could.
gonna leave the
Because
equipment.
otherwise that's just that's going to stick
No,
up
the,
a foot
Either
at
the
least,
kayaks
isn't it?
or
A foot and a
anything
half.
like that.
I would
No,
set
no,
them
no,
on their
you wouldn't wanna
side.
leave those there.
Yeah,
I
but
would
still-
Cells, these big mushroom anchors aren't going a little anywhere. bit.
Now,
I mean, if you
I
really
do,
wanted to go crazy,
I
you
do
could get
think
some
about the tripping
helicals
hazard though. Again,
Yeah.
what do you
and then
think
just
on
screw them
that?
right
I don't
into
know,
the sand.
that
it's
half
Richard
a,
Perry and I
If
just
it's right
threw
up
some
the
in down at
dune
the
edge.
dock the other day.
into the ground.
You think it'll
the
bury in the
mud.
mushrooms?
We could.
But I think
Because
that
otherwise,
I know we live in a
that
litigious
that's going to
society,
stick up a
but
foot at least, isn't it? A foot and a
I don't
half.
think
I would
this is a
set them on their
huge
sides.
thing.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
still,
if it sells.
A little bit.
You know, what I would do is I just pound
If
some
you really
stakes
wanted
up
to
next
go
to them. We
crazy,
lay
you
them
could get some
sideways
helicals.
and then just paint the tips of the stakes
And then
a
just
color
screw 'em
so
right into
people
the
don't see
sand.
them. I mean, so
Richard
that people
Perry
see
and I
them
just screwed
and go,
them
hey,
in
there's
down
a
at his
stake.
dock the other day.
yeah.
And if they're placed right at the
In the
grass
mud.
edge,
Yeah.
which is
But
where they
I
need to
think
be,
that,
it's
I know we
not
live
that
in a
people are going to be
litigious
walking.
society, but,
Well, that's interesting. You want them,
I
you
don't
want
think
them
this
that
is a
high, huh?
huge
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
Yeah, I
and if
guess
you have
I'm-
if you have a
You know,
stake,
what I
just
would
put
do
a
is I
sign
just
on
pound some stakes
kayak
up
or
next to
dinghy
them if we
tie.
lay
up
them
Yeah, just like we
sideways,
did,
and then
John,
just
we did
paint the
that with
tips
the
of
kayak
stake
racks too.
a
Remember,
color
we put
so
signs
people
up.
don't see them.
Oh, yeah.
So
I mean, so
they
yeah,
would-
we've got the sign,
hey,
but
there's a
that's an
stake.
interesting thought. I was thinking
And if
they
they're
were further
placed
down,
right
but if
at the
they're up
grass,
No,
way
way
out of the
high,
way,
Yeah.
which is where they need to be.
good.
It's not that people are
Good.
going to be walking.
I'm just
We can
gonna-
talk
have to
about
put
it
the boat
tomorrow.
high
You
enough.
You want them
Yeah,
that high, huh?
I'm
That's
just
interesting.
throwing out one or two thoughts on
Yeah.
that.
And if you have a
that,
If you have a stake, just put a sign on
we have a
kayak or dinghy
problem
tie up
raised,
or
Just like we
but
did.
in
John, we
general,
did that
do we
with the kayak
know?
racks too. Remember, we put
with
signs
people
up.
that tend
Oh, yeah.
to,
They
put
would-
their
we
dinghies
we
there.
had the sign, but
because they're trying to
that's
get
an
out to their
interesting
mooring
thought. I was
sites.
thinking they were further
Are there
down,
many
but if
people
they're up
that see
No,
this
way
as a
up high.
problem that the one
That's,
gentleman raised, or
good.
are we reacting to something
We can
that
talk
a lot
about
of
it
people don't
tomorrow.
see as a problem? And meanwhile, we're setting up,
throwing
I
out
can see
one or
somebody
two
going,
thoughts
oh,
on
now you're
that
telling
is
us we
that,
have to tie our boat, for years, we've been just leaving our
we have
dinghies
a
free there.
problem raised,
Now you're
but
suggesting
in
we have to tie
general,
them,
do
even
we
though what we're trying to do
know,
is do something that's gonna
the
help
people
them so
that
that,
tend to,
you know,
their
in a high
dinghies
tide, they
there
won't be floating
because
away.
they're trying to
I'm
get out to
just-
their mooring
Kind of
sites.
those are two thoughts
Are
that
there
come to
many
mind.
people that see this as a problem?
Overall,
that one gentleman raised,
kind of
or
attitude
we
of
reacting to
well,
something
we're
that
already
a lot of people
telling
don't see
Kate,
as
you've got a
problem?
hand raised.
Meanwhile,
You've
we're
got a
setting
hand
up-
raised out.
I
If
can
you
see
want to
somebody
bring
going,
someone
oh,
in.
now you're
Thank you
telling us we
for
have to
noticing
tie our
that.
boat, for years, we've been just leaving our dinghies free there.
Dave, do we have somebody
Now
out
you're
there?
suggesting we have to
Good.
tie them, even though what we're trying to do is do something that's gonna help them so that, in a high tide, they won't be floating away. I'm just kind of, those are two.
Hi,
thoughts that come to
I raised my
mind.
hand earlier when Paul was
Overall,
speaking about the
kind of
wheelchair.
attitude of, well,
Oh,
we're already
okay.
telling
Kate,
people
you've got a
have to-
hand
Can
raised.
we-
You've got a hand raised out.
Well,
If you
we
wanna
are going to get to
bring
the
someone in.
issue. So
Thank you
let's,
for noticing that.
you want to take comment now, since
Dave,
you're
do we
already
have
up there, and
somebody
give
out
us
there?
your thoughts, and we'll
Good.
we'll talk. It's not, I don't know, it's natural resources per se, but we will be talking about the wheelchair and get a report on that.
Hi, all I want to say is my hand earlier when we did the staking, I thought we left space for the wheelchair.
Oh, okay.
And we put the stakes behind,
Can we,
but we can check that
Well, we are
tomorrow
gonna
when
get to the
when we're
issue,
doing
so
the
let's,
kayak racks.
okay.
Can
You
you
want
hear
to
me?
take comment now, since
Yep.
you're already up
Yes.
there?
Sounds
Give us
good,
your
Bill.
thoughts, and
All right,
we'll
so
talk. It's not,
I have to
I
get
don't know,
off.
it's natural resources per se, but we will Okay. be talking about the wheelchair and get a report on that.
Definitely,
Thank you.
And Kate,
Yeah,
as far,
all I want to
if I
say
may
is
interject
that,
here, as far as
when we did the
what's going
staking,
on
I
with
thought we left space
the
for
mushrooms and
wheelchair.
the chain and
we
everything,
put the
that's
stakes
something I think we can
behind,
look at tomorrow. And,
but we can check
I've got
that
quite a bit of
tomorrow when
experience
we're
when it
doing
comes
the,
to
kayak
chaining and
racks.
anchoring things down, maybe not on a
Can
beach,
you hear
but
me?
Yep.
the mud and
Yeah.
Cape
Sounds good,
Porpoise
Bill.
beach,
All right,
if
so
I can
I
hold
have
a
to get off.
40-foot lobster boat, I think I can hold,
Okay.
I can
Yeah.
figure out something so we can
Definitely.
hold
Thank you.
a 10-foot
Um,
skiff, as we'd call it. If
I-
I may interject
And
here,
I
as
have
far
no,
as
no concerns
what's
at all
going
about
on
the
with
fact that if we're implementing this,
the
that you'll know
mushrooms
how to
and
do
the
it, or
chain
you
and
and John
everything,
and the
that's
other
something I
folks.
think I
too.
can look at
rather than
tomorrow.
us talk
And,
in
I've got quite a
circles,
bit of
maybe,
experience when it comes to
Paul
chaining
and
John
anchoring
and I
things
can
down,
go
maybe not
tomorrow
on a
and
beach, but
I'll bring my
the
Hamilton
mud and Cape
catalog. I
Porpoise
think
and
I
the
even have
beach,
one in the truck, and
if I have
we
can hold a
we can make
40-foot
notes of it.
lobster boat, I think I can hold.
I can help
I can
source
figure
the
out something
materials
so we can hold a
Great.
10-foot
Great,
That's
thanks.
good.
skiff,
Kate, and
as we
I
call
like
it.
that you
All
bring
right.
up, is this a
And I have
problem
no,
with one
no
person,
concerns
or
at
is
all
this a
about the fact
large
that
problem?
if we're
Yeah.
implementing
It's
this,
good.
that you'll know how to do
No,
it.
it's
or
been-
implementation
The
could
other
happen.
folks
So
I'm sure I have
rather
the
than us
talent there
talk
to do it.
in
I guess my
circles, maybe
step back question
Paul
is,
and John and I can
is this a
go
problem that
tomorrow
needs
and
a solution?
I'll bring
Is
my
there enough of a
Hamilton
problem?
catalog.
And I don't
think
know
even
who
have one
else
in the
tends
truck,
to
and, we can,
moor their,
we can make notes
leave
of it.
dinghies there, who has the
I can
mooring
help
sites,
source
but
the
if we know who
materials.
some of those people are, they usually
Great,
tend to have
thanks.
them from,
Kate, and
one
I
year to
like
the
that you
next.
bring up, is this a problem
Maybe
with
we
one
should run it
person, or is
by
this
just
a
a few
large
people to
problem?
see if
Yeah.
they see this as a problem. And
No,
I can
it's-
also
it's
see it
been-
turning into
happen. I'm
not
sure I
just
have
a
the
place
talent
that
there to
the
do it. I guess my
traditional dinghies,
step
that dinghy
back
point
question
has always
is,
been designed
Is
or
this a
meant
problem
to
that needs a solution? Is there
provide
enough of a
more
problem?
space
And I don't know
for.
who else tends to
I mean, the last
moor
couple
their,
of years, I'm
you
not
know,
seeing
leave
just
dinghies
dinghies.
there,
I'm
who
seeing a
has
few
the mooring
dinghies, but I'm
sites,
starting
but
to
if we know
see
who some of
lots
those
of
people are,
kayaks
they
or
usually tend to have them from,
canoe,
one
things
year
like
to the
that.
next.
And so are we just
Maybe we should
basically
run it
taking another
by just a few
kayak
people
rack,
to see if they
different
see
type,
this as
and
a
moving it
problem.
someplace
And I
else?
can
So
also
that's
see it
just,
turning into
yeah.
not just
Yeah.
a place that the
Well,
traditional.
last year you
traditional
lost
dinghies
some
that Dinghy
kayaks
Point has
and they
always
floated
been
to Cape
designed or
Porpoise,
meant
and
to,
I don't know if the Coast Guard got
provide
involved or
more,
not, but
space
I do hear
for.
this on the marine radio every
I mean, the
day.
last couple of years, I'm
Whenever
not
the
seeing
Coast
just
Guard
dinghies. I'm
finds
seeing a few
a
dinghies,
boat
but I'm
floating
starting
in
to
the
see
water that just
lots
float,
of kayaks. or,
they assume that somebody was
canoe,
in it,
things like
and
that.
so they have to
And so
go
are we
out and
just
search.
basically
So
taking another
we
kayak
encourage
rack,
people,
different type,
because
and moving it.
I hear this at the
someplace else. So
pier all the
that's
time.
just,
You would laugh at some of the
yeah.
crazy things. People come and
Well,
they're like,
last year you
"Where'd the
lost
tide
some
go?"
kayaks
Or
and
you
they
know,
floated
what
to Cape
happened? I was
Porpoise
here
and
yesterday and there was no
It's
water.
a
I don't think
drought.
the Coast Guard got involved. Yeah, it's a drought. out. I do hear this on the marine radio every day. People whenever the Coast Guard tide comes in and goes out floating. So if they're here for the week and they bring their kayak down and they leave it down below the, in the intertidal, go out and search. So if you know, maybe you can encourage them and I hear this at the pier all the time. Save them and the Coast Guard, crazy things. Potential of the Coast Guard, etc. Where'd the tide go? Aggravation. you know, what happened?
That's a good point.
And there was no water.
It's a drought.
All this. If you made a small one, see how it works. So, I don't think you're out much. People don't realize the tide comes in and goes.
Yeah, I've
out.
had people.
They're here for the week and they bring
people
their
ask, how come we don't get racks at Dinghy Point?
In the
since you
tidal,
put them, maybe along the other part of the beach. And from my perspective, I think it's a good place to store boats because it's the widest part of the whole beach.
Aggravation.
So it seems like a very logical spot to store boats, and maybe it would maybe we need less right out front where the beach is much more crowded. Yeah, I've had people
but again,
ask, how come we don't get racks
it goes back to
Point,
maybe we have two different kinds competing interests there too.
Along
people
the
like
other part of the beach. And from my perspective, I think it's a good place to store
smaller
boats
vehicles
because
like
it's
that,
the widest
and then the traditional dinghy type things that are used to get out to mooring locations.
So it seems like a very logical
maybe you'd have two different types of places, and one can tie up to
store
one,
boats,
and
and maybe
it
would.
I don't know.
Maybe we need. I have two other where the beach is much more crowded. To finish off the report, I want to thank Steve Creamer, who donated some cash to buy us coffee and donuts and stuff.
There too.
Thank you very much. And
kayaks,
and John was going to talk a little bit about
traditional dinghy type
our mapping
things that are used
efforts.
to get out to mooring locations. So
I'm sorry, is now the time? You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yep.
So we had been thinking for a while about the possibility of using drones to map the dunes. We've approached the trust to see if they would be willing to purchase a software system that would allow us to take the drone imagery and do a more sophisticated job of building maps and building 3D models. The good news is that the trust is willing to support that. Isaac at the trust will be the individual trust, but Isaac is up to proverbials and alligators. So the timing isn't totally clear. But what is good news is that the imagery can be collected and then processed later. In fact, it's collecting the imagery that's really the important piece. So, being the impatient guy that I am, I didn't want to wait. So I went ahead and collected some flights over the dunes. And can I share my screen? Totally clear. But what is good news is that the imagery can be collected. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I just needed the perfect. In fact, it's and now what I want to do. Really why is it doing that? It won't let me share a window. Wouldn't that frustrate? Why doesn't it let me share windows? Well, it doesn't. So guess what? So I will do this. Wait a minute, here's advanced. Let's see if I'm advanced. Can I share my screen? All right, basic. Share.
There we go.
There we go.
All right, so there's an app on the phone, on the iPhone. And this is the app that controls the drone. So basically, you draw out the area, those little orange critters, as you move them around, and you draw out the area. And then the crossed hatch is the flight path of the drone. You push a button, and the drone takes off and flies it. It's the damnest thing.
There we go.
Technology today is unbelievable. An app on the phone. This is something. Well, this is the app. At any rate, it's really cool. Controls the drone. So basically, that beach and draw out the area. And this is the west end. Move them around, and you. So these were the two that the flight path of the drone. And what you can do is you have all these different. So we did a gridded, and then we set the altitude so that we had a half-inch pixel. This is some. So what we've got is a half-inch pixel for the thing. Now what I got to do is to stop sharing and reshare something else. And this is the west end. Share this. So do that. So these were and this is the result. And what you
It doesn't look like much when it's zoomed way out, so let's come in and
so
look
we
at
get
it.
a gridded, and then we set the
This is the map that was created. The drone flew 526 individual images
what I've got to do is
when it collected them, and then I have a software online. It's a fascinating company.
And
it's called Maps.
This is the result,
I believe, something like that.
It doesn't look like much when it's
anyway,
way out.
That's
so
different thing. But you can you buy points.
This is the map,
and you use the points to process the imagery.
So
this was less than $50 to buy the points I needed to process the image. And this again is the image of the East End.
It's called Maps.
And what's pretty cool about it is that you can also create a heat map.
You can
now
you
this
buy points.
This is a map
use the points
of
to process the imagery.
topography.
So this was
So
less
if we
than $50
if we come down here
to buy
and
the
then
points I needed,
I go here and I
to
enable
process
swipe
the image.
and I
And
do
this
this.
again is the image
Now the
of
registration's
the
a little bit
East
off,
End.
so
And
I'm working
pretty
on that.
cool
But
about it
this is what the
that you
image
can
looks like,
also
and you really
create
you can see where the line of the grass is,
now
but you can't see the relief.
this
But
is a
you
map
see how when you
of
bring this
the,
back on.
topography.
Yeah, so there,
So if
here
we-
is
If we
here
come
are
down
the
here,
erosion
and
points.
then,
This is the old. This
go
is one
here
old dune
and I
line.
enable swipe,
There's, you can see it here.
and I
You
do
can
this.
really
Now
hammered
the
at one
registration's
point.
a little bit off.
This is
So,
the 18 dune line
I'm working
coming
on
back
that,
here, and this is the
this
new
is
dune
what
that's
the
being
image looks like. And you really
being built.
you can see
But,
where the line of the
oh no, I
grass
lied.
is,
That's
but
the
you
seaweed.
can't see the relief. But you see how when you bring this back
This
on.
is the
Yeah,
is the
so
seaweed.
there, here
But
is-
isn't that amazing?
here are
Although
the-
some
the,
of this is
erosion
probably
points.
built up enough
This is the oldest.
to be that high, you'd think it's on a lot. But
But
at any
you see
rate,
it here.
fun stuff.
Really
So what
hammered
we'll
at
be
one
able to
point.
do
This is the 18
see,
dune
here's the
line
washout
coming back
that
here,
came
and this
through
is the
here.
new
Again, you
dune
can
that's
see these
being,
old dune
being
scarps
built.
when it got eroded.
I lied.
And then
That's
the dune
seaweed.
built back. When we have the next big storm,
this is the seaweed. But
we'll
isn't
be
that
able to
amazing?
compare.
Although
We'll
some
fly
of this
again,
is probably
and then we'll
built
be able
up
to see
enough
exactly
to be that high. You think
where
it's on a
we
look, but
have
anyway,
lost
fun
or
stuff.
perhaps
so what we'll be able to
gained.
do
Sand.
see
here's
here's the
Will you,
washout
will you be
that-
able to
that came through
overlap
here. Again,
that
you can
map
see
to a
these
new
old
one,
dune
John?
scarps.
Absolutely.
When it
And you'll
got-
be
when
able
it
to
got
very
eroded,
precisely
and then the
register
dune
it at
built
that
back.
point. This is
when we have the next big
these
storm,
tools you can see there's a little there's a
we'll be able to
misregistration on
compare.
this
We'll
right
fly
now.
again, and then we'll be
those
able to
cars
see
are jumping a
exactly,
bit. You see,
where we have lost or
with
or
the better
perhaps
software,
gained.
and you can always take a
Will you
like
will you be
image
able to overlap
to
that
another
map
image
to a new one, John?
of the same type.
And you'll
You
be
can
able to
do
very
that
precisely
absolutely pixel to
register
pixel.
at that point.
It may not register
This
the
is,
ground precisely, but that's not as
these
important
tools you
as the
see, there's a
relative
little
change.
bit-
We
there's
just
a
want to see what's
misregistration
changed.
on this
If it's a
right
few
now.
meters off onto the actual
Those
ground, we don't
cars are
care.
jumping a
We
bit.
want to know what volume of sand we're losing. So as nice as it would be to get everything to be geodetically accurate,
you can always
it's
take
just
a
the
like
change that
image
I think is going
to
to
another
be
image
the most interesting to
of
us,
its
to
same
be able
type.
to monitor
You
the
can do
change.
that absolutely.
And that we're going to
pixel
be able to do right
It
to
may not
the
register the ground
right to the
precisely,
pixel.
but that's not
Look
as
at that.
important
Look at
as the
these
relative.
guys.
change. We
Incredible.
just want to see what's
Yeah,
changed.
they're
I have one of those
It's a
on my
few
boat,
meters
John.
off
It maps
onto
the bottom
actual
of the
ground. We
ocean.
don't care.
Oh, right.
And it does the
wanna know what
exact
volume of
same
sand
thing.
we're losing.
You said you wanted to go
So as
lobster
nice
with
as
me
it
this
would be
summer.
to get everything
I'll
to
have
be
the opportunity to show it to
geodetically
you.
accurate.
We're going to go.
It's
We're definitely
just
going to go.
the change
Let me
that I
let me
think
show you
is going to
just for the
be
fun of it.
the
We'll
most
look at
interesting
the
to us, to be
at
able
the
to
West
monitor
End.
the change, and that we're going to be able to do right
So
to
here's
the right to the pixel.
here are the dunes,
Look at that.
Carol.
Look at these guys.
There's my
Isn't that
house.
cool?
There's my house.
Yeah,
I have one of those on my boat, John.
and
It maps
then,
the bottom of the ocean.
oh right.
And it doesn't. It
we
does
go
the
ahead
exact
and put
same
on
thing. You said you wanted to go lobster with me this summer.
the height.
I'll have the opportunity to show it to
And
you.
you can
We're gonna
there you
go.
can
We're
see the
definitely gonna
path
go.
that
Let
comes
me
down
show
through
you
the
just
dunes.
for the fun of it. We'll look
Oh,
at
yeah.
at
I
the
can never
west
find
end.
when I'm actually trying to find it.
Yeah.
So
And
here's-
someone's got an old wall piece there. I don't know how many of
Here's
those
the dunes,
pieces, but
Carol.
some of the stuff.
Right to my
Look,
house.
it's really it's fun stuff.
And then
Sorry about that.
but
But here
we go ahead.
here
and
here we're
put
going to be
on-
able to see those and whoops, wrong. And you can, there you can see why does the path that comes down through the dunes. Will it do it now?
Yeah.
No, it won't. How about if I turn this off and turn it back
Yeah.
on and then do it? Never mind. We'll get it so it actually does. We'll see it. But there you can see the relief.
It's really,
Can you draw topo lines on that, John?
There isn't. I'm sure you can. I've got the data as just XYZ points. So those will be able to put onto a base map and draw contours. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the software that Esri has, this again is this other company, and it's okay, but it's probably not the most accurate. We're going to be able to do a much better job when Isaac gets trained, Isaac and I, because you're not going to keep me away from it. Those will be able to get trained together on how to use this and get even more accurate maps. And the software
I don't know, this looks a little too much like what you probably did for a living. Remember, you're retired.
Yeah, I know it. I can't stay away.
It's okay,
I love it.
but it's probably not
so. That's what we've been doing, and
do a much
less than $100.
When
but
Isaac gets trained, Isaac and I, because
we've got kids collection
trained together on how
we'll take another one probably in the middle of the summer, even if there isn't a storm. Then take another one because the flights collecting the data is free. It's only the processing, and once we buy the software system through the trust, hopefully, then the processing will just be our
less than
time.
$100.
So we've got a great tool, and we're going to be able to really see what's occurring as
we've
time
got
goes
kids
by.
collection.
John, didn't we, and I
we'll
mean
take
we, the
another
Board of
one
Selectmen,
probably in the middle of the
authorize
summer,
to
even if there
spend
isn't
money
a
for the
storm.
software?
Then take
We
another
authorized
one
something,
because
I can't remember what it is
the
now.
flights collecting the data is free.
I
don't
I
think
know
it's
we
only
talked about
processing,
it at one
and
of our
once we
meetings.
buy the
the
software
agenda.
We
system
did,
through
but
the
then,
trust, hopefully, then the processing will
Lori,
just be our time.
I guess, had
So
not
we've got
been aware
a
of
great
it,
tool,
so it
and we're
didn't
gonna be
go
able
on.
to really
She wanted
see what's
clarification,
occurring,
so I don't think it ever went to
as
the
time
board
goes by.
for funding.
John, didn't we,
because we
the
weren't
Board of
sure
Selectmen,
exactly,
authorize to spend money for the software?
what route we would
We
take, and
authorized
John
something,
found
I
out
can't
that
remember what it is now.
it would cost the town a lot of money to
I don't
buy
think
I know
this
we talked about
package,
it
and
at one of our
because
meetings.
nonprofit pricing
We
is
did, but
really
then,
favorable if we got the trusts
Lori,
involved.
I guess, had not
We were
been
going to
aware of
split
it,
something with
so
him,
it didn't
and I remember
go
we talked
on.
about that
She
at
wanted
this
clarification,
meeting,
so I don't
at
think it
our
ever went
Goose
to
Rock
the board.
Speech meeting.
Yeah, I
for
think we had
Yeah.
because we weren't $1,000.
Yes, I think that's that 15 may have been, but that was the
what route
max.
we would take,
For
and
12,
John found out
was
that,
it?
But it's if
would
we
cost
did it again, the
town
trust.
a lot of money to
It's
buy this
$800 total,
package, and
$850
because
for the trust to
nonprofit
do it.
pricing is
If we
really
did
favorable. Got the trusts involved.
we were going to
800,
split
and
something
then you've
with
got to
him,
pay an
and I remember we talked
annual
about that
couple
Right.
thousand a year
at our
for
Goose Rock
the
speech.
I think we
info,
had
the
approved
GIS package.
$1,000.
So
Yes, I think
it's
that's
real
that
money
15 may have been,
because
but
this
that
is
was the
professional
max.
grade
Or
stuff.
12?
I mean,
Was
obviously,
it?
as
But
reason of business of
if
making
we
money,
did it again,
they
the
just have
trust,
an awesome
it's $800
nonprofit
$850
discount
for the trust.
I
to
would say
If we did
the
it
one on
as
my
a
boat cost
commercial entity,
$3,000.
Yeah.
And that
So-
wasn't even the
And then
computer.
you've got to
But I got a
pay
break because I had the
annual
old
couple
version. They
thousand a
sold me the new
year
version for half price. I thought that was mighty nice of them.
the ARC info, the GIS
Well,
package.
maybe we should
So it's real
revise
money,
our prior
because this is
motion
professional
to.
grade stuff. I mean, obviously, as reason of business of
I mean, it
making
would seem
money,
to me we should
just have an
share the
awesome
cost with the trust
nonprofit
because
discount.
we're both going to be
I would
using it.
Say, and the one
It's
on
going
my
to be
boat
in their
cost
benefit and in
$3,000.
ours.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't know
why
what's the
not-
best
That
way
wasn't
for
even
the town to
computer,
put money
but I
to
got
the
a
trust.
break
We
because I had
might
the old
want to
version.
find
They
a
sold me the
way.
new version for half price. I thought that
We
was
can
mighty
certainly
nice of them.
acknowledge this and have some
well,
way
maybe
to
we should
do some joint
revise
work
our
together.
prior
But
motion to.
I don't know if we ought to set anything as a
I mean,
motion.
it would seem
Yeah,
to
I
me we
wouldn't-
should
can I
share
suggest
the
at this
cost
point
with
that,
the trust because
d-
we're both going to be
you know,
using
kind of
it.
table this to
It's
look
going to
more
be in their
information as
benefit
to
and
what's
in
the best way to
ours.
proceed,
So-
and
I don't know
why
what's the
not
best way
you
for
know,
the
another
town to
meeting,
put money
come
to the
forward
trust.
with
We might
a
want to find a
a
way.
formal motion.
Because the trust
I want
the
John to
trust
get
wants the
involved.
software. The trust wants the software for their own work.
Yeah.
They want to
Do
be
some
able to
joint
map
work
their
together,
properties
but,
and look for vernal pools and things of
I
that
don't know if
sort.
we ought to
So
set anything
they're
as a
getting it.
motion at
Yeah,
this
I
point.
would, can I
and
suggest at this
they're
point that,
allowing us
the opportunity to use it.
kind of table this to
because
look more
it's their
information
property.
as
I
to
mean,
what's the best way to
this
proceed,
is
and
obviously to their
future,
interest to
another
protect
meeting,
their
come
property
forward
at the
with
beach. So.
okay, so that
A formal motion.
Yeah, because the trust,
I want
the
to
trust
give
wants the
Resources Committee
software. The trust
and
wants the
working
software for
with the
their own
trust,
work.
we'll work
They
out
want
how
to be able to
best
map
in
their
the town, how
properties and
best to
look
work
for
this
vernal
out and
pools
come back
and
if we
things of
need a
that
motion
sort.
from the
So
BAC.
they're getting it,
Which I will
and
not be part of
they're
at that point,
allowing
but
us
the
the
BAC
opportunity
can
to
then
use it.
Right.
deal with it at that point.
Because
Okay.
Carol had her hand up.
property. I mean,
Carol, yep.
this is
And John, while
obviously
you're
to their
doing it, I
interest
want
to
you to
protect
work with the Maine
their property
Audubon
at the beach.
and Inland Fishery and Wildlife.
You
Because if the plovers are nesting and a drone goes over and it, they abandon their nest, we're in a lot of trouble.
And the town.
Alrighty. Let's make sure that that wouldn't be the case.
Yeah, that was number one. And number two, I love it, by the way.
But the
It's
BAC
very exciting to see.
Right.
At the west end right of way,
Carol had her
I
hand
would
up.
love,
Carol, yeah.
we've been noticing that we're losing the dunes there. I would love you to go around that area of the beach, around that house that has the last house on the west end, and go around and look at those dunes also.
Alrighty.
Because that,
Let's make sure that
if the
that
river
wouldn't be the
decides
case.
it's going to cut through and go between the houses, which would be pretty disastrous.
Ooh.
At the west end right of way.
Not till the plovers are gone.
That's right.
And to it to the plovers. So using the dunes there, taking care of the little birds. That area.
All right, that's all I got.
Me too.
Thanks so much, John. That's wonderful.
This is great. And, I want to address two other things probably at this point. Paul, while we've got you, I think you were most knowledgeable. And an issue was raised by the email that was sent by Jan Olowski about the status of the handicap.
Yes, right.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because we're talking now about taking out
Right.
the system.
All
We're
right,
not
that's
going
all
to
I
have
got.
one that's.
Thanks so much,
So
John.
can you
That's
fill
wonderful.
people in as to where, I know there will be things available, but not necessarily.
Sure. So
two other things.
the
probably at this point.
wheelchair that the
Paul,
Health
while we've got
Council
you, I
ran
think you
for
were
the
most knowledgeable,
past few years
an
got
issue was raised by
vandalized
the
last
email that was
summer
sent by,
and is
Jan
basically
Olowski
not repairable.
about the status
And
of
it went in the
handicap
dumpster this past Saturday.
wheelchair. Yeah, because we're talking now about
The
taking out
Recreation Department
the system.
has
We're not gonna have
two
one that's,
wheelchairs.
so can you fill
which
people in as to where,
are
I know there
stored
will be
at
things
the
available,
Tides
but
Inn.
not necessarily.
Sure. And so you can go to
wheelchair that the Health Council ran
Kennybunk.
for the
I wrote
past
their
few years,
website down. Wait a minute.
got,
Oh, I have it open on my.
vandalized last
There's-
summer. and
The
is
it's
basically
the rec
not
department
repairable.
page, and
You
you
have
have
to
to
reserve
reserve
this
this past Saturday
and pay.
I saw two different
the
numbers,
Recreation
$3 and
Department
$10. So I don't know what's
has,
right.
Two wheelchairs
And
which, are stored at
you have to go
the
online
Tides Inn.
and reserve it. The
And
system is not as easy as our system
you can go
was,
to
but you know, we ran a very informal
Kennybunk.
system.
I wrote their
at the beach.
website down.
Um,
Oh, I have it open on my.
So you have to go
There's-
to
it's
the
not
rec
the
department
town's-
page, not the rec department's
you have to
page
reserve
on
this.
the town
and
website,
pay-
but on
I
their
saw
other
two different
website,
numbers,
which is called
$3 and $10. So I don't know what's
Kennybunkport
right.
Me myrec.com.
And
If you search
you have to
Kennybunkport
go
Recreation
online and
Department,
reserve
you'll find
it.
that
The
page.
system is
And right
not
on the
as
top,
easy as our
there's a
system
tab
was,
that
but,
says
you know, we ran a very informal
beach
system.
wheelchair,
at the
and
beach.
then you go through the
Um,
process to reserve it for
so
a particular
you have to
day.
go to
And I guess you just go
not the
with
town's, not
you
the
know,
rec
to the
department's
Tides
page
on the day that you
on
want it
the town
and borrow
website,
it.
but on
So there are two there.
their other website, which is called
Great.
Kennybunkport.
And that's, it's an unfortunate comment that we
If
had
you
to go
search
there. That we
Kennybunkport
can't
Recreation
leave
Department,
a
you'll
piece of
find
valuable
that
equipment
page.
like that
And right on the
safely out on
top,
the beach,
there's a
given
tab
what
that
happened last
says,
year, which is very
uh,
unfortunate.
beach
and
wheelchair, and
you
then
know,
you go through the process to
sad to
reserve
see
it for a
that something
particular
like that
day.
happens in this
And
community.
I guess you just go.
But at least we
with
have a
to
solution
the
to
Tides
it that will
on the
keep
day
the
that you want it
wheelchairs safe,
borrow it.
hopefully
So
from
there are two there.
vandalism, and people will still be
Great.
able to access that
And that's,
for themselves or their loved
it's an
ones.
unfortunate comment that we
Well,
had
thanks
to
for that
go
report
there.
and that update. I hope that
we can't leave
answers the
a
question
piece of
that
valuable
Jan
equipment like
raised.
that safely out on the beach,
And
given what happened
the other
last
thing she
year.
raised, which is, I don't
very
know that we have an
unfortunate
answer
and,
to this, is that please ask
you know,
people to stop
sad to see
leaving
that
their
something like that
flip flops
happens in
and
this
other
community.
things on the mat, the one
But
entrance
at
at the
least
beach,
we
at
have
the
a
Edgewood
solution
entrance
to
that
it
has
that
the
will keep the
wheelchair
wheelchairs
or the
safe,
handicapped accessible
hopefully
mat,
from
mat
vandalism, and
instead
people
of
will still be able
chopping
to
out the loose
access
sand.
that for
Please stop
themselves or their loved
leaving
ones.
your personal equipment, whether it's sandals, beach, flip-flops,
answers the question that
pails and
Jan
shovels
raised.
or whatever. We need to keep that
the other thing
entrance
she raised,
as
which is, I
open
don't
as
know that we have
possible
an
for
answer to
people
this,
who
is that
may have some
please ask
mobility
people
impairment,
to
and that's
stop
an important way for
leaving
them to
their
be able to get out
flip-flops
to the
and
beach
other
safely.
things on the mat, the one
So,
entrance at the beach, at the Edgewood entrance that has
just the next
wheelchair,
item, I just
or
wanted
the
to give
handicapped
everybody a
accessible
brief
mat,
reminder that we
instead
are
of,
still in the
you know,
midst
tromping out
of
through loose sand. Please stop
the
leaving
elections for the
your
upcoming
personal
beach
equipment,
advisory
whether it's
committee.
sandals, beach, flip-flops,
There are
pails and shovels or whatever. We need to
four
keep
openings?
that entrance as open as
Yes, there are
possible
four
for people
openings,
who
four
may have
seats that
some
are changing
mobility
hands this
impairment,
year.
and that's an important way for them to
One
be
of them,
able
of
to
course,
get out to the beach
is
safely.
the at-large seat, because
So,
John has resigned, and
just
for
the
very good
next
reason,
item, I just wanted to give everybody a
for running for
brief
Board of
reminder that
Selectmen.
we are still in the midst of
And there is one candidate
the elections
running
for
unopposed
the
for
upcoming
that
beach
seat. That's
advisory
Fred
committee.
Stafford, and that will be at the June, that is
there
a seat that will be
are
determined at the town election. It's voted on by the entire town, so that will be at the
Yes, there are four openings,
town,
four seats that are
resolved at
changing
the town
hands this
election
year.
on June 14th.
One of them, of course, is
The other
is the
three
at-large
seats
seat,
available
'cause John has
open will
resigned,
be my
and
seat,
for very
since
good
this
reason,
is my
might
sixth
add,
year doing this.
for
I've
running
this
for
is
Board of
completion of the
Selectmen.
second term, so I will
And
be leaving the
there is one
committee.
candidate
And
running
that is a
unopposed for
backlot
that
seat, one of
that's
the two
Fred
backlot
Stafford, and
seats.
that
There
will
are
be
two
at the
candidates
June.
running
That
for
is a
that.
seat that will be
Pam
determined at the
Zikansky and
town election.
Julian
It's voted on by the
Ambrose.
entire town, so that will be at the
I'm sorry, I
town,
forgot the last name wrong.
resolved at the
I
town
apologize,
election
but
on June
anybody
14th.
who's a backlot
The other three
owner
seats
who is
available,
a signatory to the
open will
beach
be
use
my
agreement
seat,
has
since
already
this is
received
my sixth year
information
doing
on
this.
both
I've
candidates and a
completion of the
ballot
second
to
term,
send
so,
in.
I will
And
be
then there
leaving
are
the
two
committee,
beachfront owner
and
seats
that is a
available, both of
backlot
which
seat, one of the two
have
backlot
candidates
seats.
running
There are two
unopposed.
candidates running for that.
And that's
Pam
because
Zikansky
Joanne
and
Guston,
Julian
like me, has
Ambrose.
completed now 6 years
I'm
on
sorry, I
the
forgot the last
committee,
name
2
wrong.
full
I
terms,
apologize,
and
but,
she will also
anybody
be
who's a
leaving.
backlot
And then
owner
Jenny
who is a signatory
Wasserman
to the
has determined
beach
that
use
her
agreement
circumstances
has
are
already
such she's not
received
going to run for reelection.
information on
So
both candidates and a ballot
it looks
to
like we
send
will
in.
have a fair amount
And
of
then
change
there are
coming
two
up.
beachfront
And
owner
Paul.
seats available.
What are
So,
ballots?
just a quick
What are
reminder.
ballots do?
Candidates running unopposed.
That's what I was going to say. The next thing,
So, and
ballots
that's
are
because
still
Joanne
you know, you
Guston,
still have
like
time to
me,
send in your
has
ballots if you
completed
haven't
now 6
already. I
years
think May 24th
on
is the deadline for
committee,
receipt
2
of
full
ballots.
terms, and she will also be
So,
leaving. And then, Jenny,
by our next meeting, if we stick to the regularly scheduled third Monday, we will have a new committee in effect, because the
it looks
town
like we
election
will
will
have a
also
fair
have
amount of
happened, and we'll
change coming
know,
up.
you know,
And
the
Paul.
at-large seat.
What are
Well,
ballots?
just a quick
Ed, do
What
you
are
reminder.
ballots
know,
do?
That's what I was gonna say. The next
when
thing, the ballots are
anticipate
still,
that you'd still
you know,
be,
you still
you'd
have
still
time to
be
send
part
in
of
your
the
ballots
committee
if you
for the
haven't
June
already.
meeting?
I think May 24th is the
You know,
deadline
I don't
for
know. I
receipt
was
of
thinking of that
ballots.
today. I can't remember
So,
when we do the appointments.
okay.
By our next meeting.
I was just
on
thinking
As I
if
said, I'm
regularly
supposed to be
scheduled
the
third
chairman,
Monday,
so I may not be
we will
back
have a
either.
new
'Cause that will
committee in
require a
effect,
lot more
because
on
the
my
town election
end.
will also have
we might
happened,
need
and
you
we'll
to show
know,
up.
But
briefly
I'm
to
hoping
approve
that we
the
might
seat.
have somebody with some
Ed, did you
experience that I can send back here.
when do you anticipate that
That's my hope.
you'd still be part
That's
of
a
the
good
We
plan.
might need you to put in at least a cameo appearance as,
You know, I don't
so that
know. I
we
was
have
thinking of
enough
that
people
today.
to
I can't remember
initially
when we
approve
do
the
the
minutes from this
appointments.
meeting.
Okay.
Since a lot of
I
people
could probably, as I
didn't
said,
show
I'm
up.
supposed to
So,
be the
in
chairman,
the
so
event.
I may not be
Okay,
back
great.
either.
So if you
That
still
will
have
require
not,
a
if you're
lot
out there
more
and
on
you
my
haven't sent your ballot
end.
in,
We might need
please,
you to show up
But
please
I'm
do so.
hoping that we might have
And that
somebody
takes
with some
care of the
experience that I can
elections.
send back here.
Do we have any comments on, oh, I have
That's my hope.
one thing I want to point
That's a
out.
good
We
plan.
might
I
need
suppose
you
it
to
should
put
be
in
under
at least
other
a
business,
cameo
but
appearance as,
there was,
so that we have enough people
as many of you may or may not know, the town sends out a very helpful
I could probably do
newsletter,
that.
which went out a couple weeks ago, a week and a
Okay,
half or
great.
so
So if you
ago.
still have not, if you're out
And
there and you
included
haven't sent
a
your
column
ballot
about
in,
Goose Rock's
please,
Beach
you're,
with frequently
please do
asked
so.
questions, including one
And
about
that
the dog
takes
rules.
care
And
of the
unfortunately,
elections. Do
it
we
just
have
through
any
a
comments
crazy
on-
oversight,
oh,
the
I have
old dog
one
rules
thing I
that
wanna
were
point out,
rescinded
which I suppose
a
it
year
should be under
plus
other
ago
business, but
were included
there
as
was,
what are the rules for
as
dogs
many
now.
of you may or may not know,
So
the
if
town
you're still
sends out a
operating
very
on what's in the
helpful,
newsletter, please forget that. And the town has put out several different places, and we put on the Friends of Goose Rock Speech Facebook page the correct dog rules, which are the ones that are currently in place. And there are multiple signs, the information about the whole year's worth on the signs at the beach, the big sign at the beach, and then we've also reinforced it by saying at this particular time of the season of the year, dogs, actually from now until, from April 1st until September 15th, dogs must different places, and we've put
on leash, but they can be back on the beach.
They can be back. No, they right now, they can be on all the time until I'm not addressing. We've got so we do have the correct information out there. The town has been great about trying to get the correct information out there to correct that misinformation. Particular time of the year. So please follow the correct information, folks. And we're really important to have your dogs on leash from now on until mid-September because of the the nesting birds.
They can be back on the
Thank
beach.
you. They can be back. No, they can right now. Are there any hands raised or any public comments? We've got so we do have the correct information out there. The town has been great about trying to get the correct information out there to correct that misinformation. Well, I think then I'm going to say follow the correct information, folks. John has already noted his lovely mug, but I'm going to open mid-September my little gift here. The nesting birds, and show the whole town if they haven't seen John. Oh, lovely! Are there any John drinking out of his? Any public comments? My thank you, Goose Rock Speech mug, which will be very welcome here in this house. I won't let anybody else touch it but me. Okay. And Joanne, if you haven't gotten yours, I don't know if you're up here right now. You will find one and will receive one shortly, as will Jenny when she gets back in town.
I'll be up Wednesday night.
Little gift here. Good. And then I have one other show the whole town. Beautiful thing, which lovely. As chair, I got a little something extra. Which is this beautiful photo speech montage that all of these photos are taken by Audrey Lakin, who is a fabulous photographer. And I love the work she does. If you haven't gotten and I've got I don't know if beautiful views of the beach, and I love the fact that she included the one. This one in the center shows the fact of the person walking his dog on leash. Part of our effort last year to make sure people got the new rules and everything. So that was something that was near and dear to my heart, and I will treasure this beautiful photo montage.
Thank you, Carol, for arranging the mugs.
Taken by Audrey Lakin,
and thank you everybody that served. You did a great job.
And thank you for my personal thank you to all of you. It's been a pleasure serving with all of you and others that I've served with over the 6 years, and particularly this past year when I've acted as chair, and the people I've worked with, the amount of energy, not only from the committee members themselves, but the subcommittee members, being able to tap into the amazing amount of talent and energy that we have here at this beach community, and love for this beach community. So, and I will continue to do that as to all of you. Joanne and I both have committed to the communication subcommittee, and others that have served interesting. It's been fun, and thank you everybody. And on that note, acted as chair. Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn? People I've worked with.
I would like to make a motion.
Somebody has their hand up. Gail has a hand up.
Oh, no.
Being able to tap into the amazing amount of talent and energy that we have here.
You weren't fast enough, Joanne.
And love for this beach community. So, and I will continue to do that as Joanne and I both have committed to the communications subcommittee. But
yes, my name is Gail Dankert. I live at 1 Norwood Lane, and I'm sorry, I think I misunderstood. I thought there might be a discussion about the travel advisory on Kings Highway tonight, but perhaps that is not true.
I did not even know we had a travel advisory on Kings Highway.
Well, I'm sorry. It wasn't a travel advisory, but a discussion about safety on travel on Kings Highway.
Well, we don't have a report.
Yes, my name is Gail Dankert. I live at
Traffic and Safety Committee member.
I'm sorry. I think I misunderstood. I thought there might be a discussion about the travel advisory.
There will be,
on Kings Highway tonight.
They've done a lot of good work.
True.
We sent forward some recommendations to the Board of Selectmen.
It wasn't a travel advisory, but a discussion about safety.
Few of them were adopted.
Kings Highway.
So, is there any specific item or aspect you were thinking about, Gail?
No, was this initially on the agenda for tonight?
No, because I knew that
not here
Oh,
tonight.
did
So,
you?
you know, we were sort
There
of at
will
a,
be, you know,
at a midpoint, given that a
they've
lot
done
of
a lot of
the
good
work
work.
went forward already to the Board
We
of
sent
Selectmen, and
forward
some things are
some,
still in their
recommendations
hands
to the Board of
to figure
Selectmen,
out how to go
and
forward with. And I
unfortunately,
also
Okay.
I have to say
knew that we
few
are
of
the
them were adopted.
chair of the
So,
subcommittee,
is there any
that
specific
particular traffic
item
and
or,
safety subcommittee
aspect
on
you
our
were-
committee
you
was
were
not going to be
thinking
able to
about,
be here
Gail?
tonight, so I
No,
actually didn't have it on the
was
agenda.
this initially
Paul?
on the agenda for
Excuse me.
tonight?
Yeah, I was just going to
No, because I
suggest
knew that,
to Barry, but
did
he
you-
you know, we
wasn't
were sort
around.
of
I
at
found
a,
an old
at a
report
midpoint,
that the
given
police
that a
chief
lot of
prepared
the work
for
went forward already to the Board of
traffic
Selectmen, and some
committee,
things are still in
8 years
their,
ago or something.
in their hands
And it was
to
actually,
figure out how to go forward
it,
with. And I also
Okay.
during
knew
the
that we
season,
are
they
the
went out and clocked a
chair
few
of
of the
the
roads that were
subcommittee, that's
people had
particular traffic and
concerns
safety
about.
subcommittee on
And
our committee
the
was
report
not gonna be able to be
shows
here tonight, so I
the
actually didn't
percentage
have it on the
of
agenda.
people
Paul?
speeding.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I was just going to suggest, and to Barry, but it's, it was, we did it on an old report that the police chief Wildwood, prepared for traffic. But I was thinking for 8 years ago or something. Gail's neighborhood. And it was actually, and maybe some others that we asked the police to do that again, and people had concerns collect the same kind of data, and the report shows, we can report back the percentage later in the summer. People speeding. So I have the report to give to Barry, so he knows what it looks like and what capability we had in town. I know, and we discussed at one meeting whether we had the ability to track this data, and I didn't remember until I found this report what they had done for us before. And, maybe some others that we asked the police.
That's great, and we do,
do
you
that
know, we
again
did recommend that more use
collect
of
the same kind of data, and
the
we can
speed
report
signs,
back
the
later in the
flashing
summer.
speed signs that say, which they already
So I
have
have
that
the report
equipment
to give to Barry, so he knows what it
available.
looks like and
It may have to cover different
what
parts of the
capability
town,
we had in
but
town.
the
I know,
type of
and
speed
we
sign
discussed
that
at one meeting
says,
whether we
this
had
is what the speed limit is, and
the
this is what
ability to
you're
track
actually
this data,
doing,
and I
which
didn't
I know
remember
always
until I
catches
found
my
this
attention.
report
That doesn't necessarily
what
collect the
they had
data
done for us
that you're
before.
talking about, Paul, which sounds like a very good idea
That's
to
great,
do.
and we do, you know, we did
periodically,
recommend that
but,
more use
does
of
that,
the
answer your
the-
concerns,
the
Gail, at this point?
speed signs.
Well,
the
I'll
the
follow
flashing
up a
speed
little bit
signs
with the
that
town
say,
and see
which they already have
what you
that
brought
equipment
forward. I apologize that
available,
I'm not
that may
informed
have to
about
cover
that at
different
this
parts of
time,
the
but
town.
we're very
But the
concerned
type
here
of
at Norwood
speed
Lane
sign that
because the
says,
people in
this is
the
what the speed limit is, and this is what
Marsh
you're actually
area,
doing, which I know always
the
catches my
backlot
attention. That doesn't
people, there are
necessarily collect the
tons of
data
children.
that
We
you're talking
alone,
about, Paul, which sounds like
on
a
the
very
4th
good
of
idea
July,
to
will
do,
have 7 children
periodically,
between the ages
but,
of 3 and
does
10
that,
here. And that
answer
only
your
begins
concerns,
to
Gail, at
deal
this
with the
point?
number of people on our street. There are probably 20 or 30 children who come up, and they cross the road to get to the beach, and it's dangerous. And we as parents are concerned, and grandparents. I'm a grandparent of these kiddos who come. So I will follow up. I know that the committee has looked at this. We alone, on the 4th of July, will more involved in it, but we are concerned, and I know a lot of our neighbors are concerned as well, because we witness near accidents every summer.
Children
who come up.
No,
Yeah,
definitely
they
the
cross
traffic
the
and
road
safety
to get to
people,
the
and we
beach,
on
and
the
it's
committee too
dangerous.
are
And
concerned about
we
that
as
and aware of it,
parents,
and
are concerned.
you
And
know, we've sent
grandparents, I'm a
some
grandparent
suggestions
of these
forward, which
kiddos
the
who
town
come.
is
So I will
working on, and
follow up.
others
I
that
know
they're
that
still
the committee
considering,
has
so,
looked at this.
yeah.
I apologize that we haven't. Well, thanks very much, and we'll follow up, and I appreciate that. Thank you. I know a lot of our neighbors
You're
are
welcome.
concerned as
Thanks
well,
for-
because we witness
You have
near
another hand.
accidents
Nope, not
every
yet.
summer.
Yep. No,
Yes.
definitely the
Hi.
traffic and safety people, and we on the committee too are concerned about
hear
that and aware of it, and,
hear me?
yes, you
Hi.
know, we've sent some,
Okay,
some
well,
suggestions
Kate, thank
forward,
you.
which
You
the
did
town
get
is
my name right. It is
working on,
Julie.
and others that they're still
Well, I do
considering,
apologize
so,
for raising my hand. I
yeah.
know you're trying to get out of
Well,
here, but
thanks very much. And we'll
I just
follow
want
up,
to
and
ask if there
I
is any
appreciate that.
way
Thank you.
or
Thank you,
that
Gail.
anyone has
welcome.
found
Thanks for-
effective in terms of enforcing the
another
leash
hand.
law. Like
Nope,
Carol,
not
I'm concerned about the plovers, but also,
Yes.
you know,
Hi.
the seals that are coming up to rest with the dogs and the stress that puts on them. And,
Hi.
you know, I don't know what kind of educational campaign has been around that, but every day I see dogs running, and, you know, more often than I see them on a leash. And, you know, I just wonder if anyone has found an effective way to enforce the leash law. And along with that, I know as you're reviewing signage, I wondered whether the seals that are, you know, whether a simple sign like just dogs on leash in big letter and would be more effective than anything wordier than educational campaign.
Well, one thing we did
that,
try and
but
do, and
every day
Carol
I see
actually was
dogs
the
running,
genesis
and
behind this,
you
of
know, more often
putting
than I
at
see
the
them on a
entry,
leash.
each of the
And, I just wonder if anyone has found an effective way to enforce the leash law. And along with that, I know as you're reviewing signage, I wonder whether
dogs have to be on leash.
Whether a simple sign like
dogs
on leash
on people
in
to
big
stop. I mean, the signs that are on
would be more
the
effective
stickers
than
that are on
anything
the
wordier than
signs
that.
themselves that have the current
Well, one thing we
complete
did
year
try
worth
and
of
do,
dog
and
rules
Carol actually
are
was
very
the
well done, but
genesis behind this of
we figured a little
putting
bit
at
more
the
punch right in
each of
people's
the
faces as they
east
come
end,
onto the, and we'll
I always
probably
forget
change
which
it
end
out
it is,
for
east end.
in the summertime to put them there too, to
entrances
say,
to the beach,
okay,
a
on leash,
single
and they can't be on the
fairly
beach at all
succinct
from 9
sign
to
that says,
5, something very simple.
Now, dogs have to
How
be
to
on
enforce
leash.
that?
Yes.
When we had the
Relying on
committee
people
meeting,
to
we were
stop. I mean, the
trying to
signs that are on
simplify and
the
go over the
stickers that are on
rules
the
about dogs.
signs themselves
One
that
of
have
our
the current
biggest
complete
concerns
year worth
was
of dog rules
enforcement.
are very well done, but
We had some
we
ideas
figured a little bit
and
more punch right in people's
ultimately
faces as they come
nothing
onto
seemed
the, and we'll probably
perfect, and
change
we
it out
kind of
for
threw it
in
out
the
to the
summertime to
public
put them
and
there
said,
too, to say,
anyone
okay,
can
on
come up
leash,
with a
and they
way
can't be on the
to
beach
do
at
this.
all from
I've
9 to
spoken
5,
to
something
people
very
and gotten
simple.
various
How to
results.
enforce that?
From
You
in
know,
my face when we had the committee meeting, we were trying to simplify and go over. I don't have a good answer, and nor one of our biggest concerns was enforcement. So we proceeded to educate as best we had some ideas, and ultimately beach patrol people are empowered to speak to people, but they cannot fine and come up. But they can get a hold of the police, who do have the power to find various results. You know, by that time the person's going to be in my face. I don't know if going forward someone has a brilliant idea. I'm sure I'd be all for it in the committee.
I also think
we proceeded to educate.
Sorry, it seems hard to that the police are going to take that too seriously. I mean, I called in a car with some pretty suspicious looking people here yesterday at the store, and they're just kind of not. I just think they have bigger fish to fry, and but I wonder whether even maybe at UNE or one of the universities where maybe they're training, or if they have any training in law enforcement, whether that could be an internship doing something. I don't know. That's a bigger discussion, but it just seems like the lack of enforcement is a real problem at the store.
We knew that would be our major
I
challenge.
just think they have bigger fish to fry, and
unfortunately that is the case, and we try to
even
educate,
maybe at UNE
first of all,
or
simplify
one
so
of the
it's
universities where
easy as
maybe
pie to
they're
understand.
or if
Your
they
dog's
have
supposed to be on leash now.
Training in law enforcement,
and
whether that could be an internship.
Unfortunately, there
doing
aren't
something.
too many options we have
that's
if people choose to just, I mean, as Joanna said, I've been out on the beach and talked to people when I've seen dogs off leash.
We knew that
had dogs run at me, and my small dogs at different times, and most people have been apologetic. Other people have said, "Oh, it's friendly. He's friendly."
Educate, first of all, simplify.
Not to a bird, he's not going to be.
As easy as pie to understand. Your dog's
it's a
supposed to be
problem.
on leash now.
It's a problem. I don't think any of us have a solution to it.
Unfortunately, there aren't
other than
too many
continued
options
education,
if people choose to just.
maybe a
I mean,
little
as
public
Joanna
pressure.
said, I've been out on the beach and talked to people when
But if we can come up with something, we would certainly
dogs run at
implement
me,
it.
and my small
of course,
dogs
I'd love to see
at
somebody with a
different
dog off
times,
leash
most
getting
people have been
fined
apologetic.
big
Other
time
people have said,
by
"Oh, it's friendly."
not necessarily the town, but by other agencies that regulate
Not to a bird,
the
he's not
safety
going
of
to
the
be.
birds on the beach.
So
it's a problem. Not just the birds, it's the people.
I don't think any of us
people,
have a solution to
part
it.
of the reason that we did the dog ordinance is because people were afraid having dogs that off leash coming up to them and coming up to children. So it's actually a bigger issue than that. And I agree, until it hurts their pocketbook, people aren't going to do anything. I had a friend in California that had a golden retriever puppy, and until she paid $850 in fines, she finally put her dog on a leash. Part of the reason that we did the dog ordinance is because it really hurts. People were afraid having dogs that off leash coming up to them and
we'll keep trying.
to children.
We're open to suggestions.
We sure are. It's actually a bigger issue than that.
Thank you.
And I agree, until it hurts their pocketbook. People aren't going to do anything. I had a friend in California.
Let's try it again. Your hand, or you to say goodbye.
Until she paid $850 in fines.
Are we done?
Can I make a motion?
Yes, please.
That we call this meeting over.
Yes, so it really hurts.
I can't second. Somebody second.
I'll second.
There you go.
We'll keep
All
trying.
in favor.
All in favor.
Aye.
We sure are.
I, and I.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Lovely.
Hey.
Okay.
Hi, guys.
Anybody?
Now?
Let's try it again. Raise your hand, or you to say goodbye.
Try it again.
Are we done?
Done.
Can I make a motion
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
that we call this meeting over?
Yes.
I can't second. Somebody second.
I
I'll second.